Hello and welcome back to another episode.
Hi.
I thought I'd pause and just let you say hi because sometimes I just go off.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting? Right then I was like, I don't want to say hi right now, but actually I do want to say hi.
Oh my
Hey
God.
everyone.
Welcome back. We thought we would do a little special episode on two really important things today, which are kindness and gratitude.
Which just want to pull
Which,
you up on that there. Woo!
yeah. And so when I look at gratitude, that's something that I really feel like in our healing journeys has been enforced and that you've almost been taught to do practices around gratitude. And gratitude is often for me, I think about it as like having gratitude for all that I am experiencing and all that I have been given.
Yeah.
But I feel that in doing that, a lot of the time we're trying to create gratitude practices and force ourselves into a state and like write a list of like, I'm gratitude for my house and my money and my health and yada, yada, yada. And I don't feel that that really brings you into a state of gratitude.
Mm,
I feel like you write down your house and then you're on to the next thing, and on to the next thing. You're not really cementing that frequency into your body.
mm,
And so for me, I feel that gratitude is like a deep inner feeling within your body that you're experiencing. Whereas a lot of the time when we're doing gratitude practice, it's more of like a thankful practice, I feel. And it's like fleeting. Whereas a gratitude, like a deep feeling of gratitude, you carry that energy forward and it releases dopamine and you actually feel good and you feel motivated and you feel pleasure.
Yeah, that's such a really powerful piece. I didn't think of it like that, but it's
Mm.
but it's really truth, to sit and to say, I'm thankful for this, and this. It's like it's being grateful for that, but actually dropping into a state of gratitude. It feels so different, right?
Yeah. And I really noticed this because when I was previously doing my gratitude practices, I would do just that. I would write down all the things I was grateful for. And then I'd go on to my day and I would forget them. I
Yeah,
didn't carry that energy. I didn't feel this great release of dopamine and all these feel good hormones.
yeah.
And I started to look into why. And I was like, am I doing gratitude properly? Like, what is gratitude? And I started to realize that I was more so coming into a state of like thankfulness rather than feeling deep gratitude.
Mm,
And so, like, a really simple example of like a moment where I feel deep gratitude is for me, it's when I go into nature, right? And I'm sitting on the earth with bare feet. I can hear the animals and the birds, sound of the water when I'm sitting on the side of the lake. And I just feel love and peace and deep gratitude in my body. And I can feel the frequency within me elevating and I feel incredible.
mm.
And that's a state of gratitude for me. And it's not the same state when I sit down with my journal and I write down, I'm thankful for my house. I'm thankful for my car. I'm thankful for my health. It's not the same.
You know what's interesting? The way that I started using gratitude, like a practice, in my morning routine was I would get up each morning and I would write three things that I was grateful for, why I was grateful for them, and how they made me feel. Now, I did this consistently for about 3 years straight. I learned it when I did NLP every single day. And it was a beautiful tool to use, but I don't do it anymore because I
Mm,
found, when I did AR, when I did my ayahuasca the last time, so about 9 months ago, I found that I wasn't dropping into my heart at all. I was just like, what can I write next? I can't write that. I wrote that last time. And I was just doing it as quickly as possible so I could go jump into my meditation. And then I'd be like, well, this doesn't actually align with who I want to be. So I don't need to. So I found that I would then, and for me now, the way that I express gratitude, in a way that's used as a tool is through prayer.
mm,
Through
mhm,
prayer, like when I'm deeply sitting with Mama Cacao, or I'm in my ritual, I'm in my ceremony, I'm in my circle, I'm at my altar, I'm in nature, and I drop right in, and there's a huge wave of a vibrational frequency that runs through my body that I can feel. Oh, yeah, I'm deeply in gratitude right now, to the
mm,
point when my heart opens and then I cry. I'm so grateful for that thing.
I resonate with that. I do the same with Mama Cacao. And the prayer that flows through me in those moments is like a channeling of
Mm,
words, and it's such a beautiful experience, and it's coming out of like the 3D and into like your body, and having gratitude for the cacao, but gratitude for this life, and like that your whole state changes in those moments.
yeah,
And I also sometimes do this before I eat. Like I say a prayer and I'll shut my eyes and just channel something that comes through and speak into it.
yeah.
And I feel like also in those states of gratitude, the emotion attached to it, like the tears that come is like the joy for all that you're experiencing.
Mm,
Like there's an emotional feeling that comes with it. It's not fleeting,
mhm,
and it changes your state and you feel different afterwards.
mm,
Whereas a lot of the time when you're journaling on these things, it doesn't change your state and you don't feel different afterwards.
yeah,
And I feel like the reason gratitude is so important is because like what we focus on, we see more of, right?
absolutely.
So if we are focusing on gratitude and having these deep, meaningful moments, we start to experience more of them.
Yeah.
We start to invite more in
It's
and
a
see the
manifest.
good in situations.
Yeah, it's a manifestation. It's a like
Yeah.
attract like. The vibrational frequency that you put out will be the vibrational frequency that you get back in. And if you come from a
Hmm.
place of gratitude consistently and really feeling that gratitude, then it will
Hmm.
come back.
Yeah,
Not that
absolutely.
we give gratitude to receive gratitude, right? Or to get something. That's a quite a toxic mindset. But it's like dropping into that flow, that ebb and flow. That's how life works, and it's so beautiful. And I'm so
Yeah.
grateful for that. So grateful for the whole of my heart to be able to
Hmm.
experience that in this life.
Yeah. And because we like the way that me and you were raised, it was the opposite. So we weren't experienced much, like I didn't experience gratitude. I don't know if you did, but I focused on like negative and what could go wrong or what more that I wanted in my life or complaining and judging. And so I invited more and more and more and more of those things in.
Mhm.
And so it's this really beautiful opportunity to see your power in these moments where you're like, I'm going to start to focus on gratitude and the good and see how much more manifests in your life just by your attention and your thoughts.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
I watched a documentary on Gaia. I love Gaia. For anyone listening, um, for
Sponsor us.
all of you people listening right now, I study every fucking night at bedtime. What can I watch that's woo woo tonight? Get me to understand all of these things, and it's amazing. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, it's so good. But I was watching this documentary on Gaia, and it was speaking about like the awareness and our thoughts. And Dr. Joe Dispenza was on. It was like an interview. It went for about an hour and a half. So it's super long. But Dr. Joe Dispenza was on there as well, and all of these neuroscience and quantum physics and scientists and deep spiritual people were on there as well, and they were speaking about how a single thought, just thinking that thought and just allowing the awareness of that thought can change the vibrational frequency of your body, of your cells, and those around you.
Mhm.
Have you ever noticed that you've been around someone, a family member, right? And then all of a sudden you're just like, I just feel really icky right now. No
Mm.
judgment, nothing specifically was said, but it may have been from an internal thought that they have thought and just fed that, just for a moment, just sat with that awareness. That's fucking powerful.
Yeah.
And this is a really beautiful representation. And this is just from a cellular level as well. Like, because that thought that will, it's like a little neurotransmitter will create a synapse in the brain, which will then feed that, which will then travel down to the body and find a cell, which will then feed that, right? And this is science based. This is, science behind it. Feed that cell and then grow on that cell and multiply within those
Mhm.
cells. And just that single negative thought Well, imagine what that could do to on an energetic level or a spiritual level from a soul level, like a shamanic level would be, a piece of your soul is like slightly leaving from there, and all of the work that's got to be done to be able to bring that back just into equilibrium. So by coming back into a state of gratitude, it's just so powerful.
And it's the
Yeah.
same as, that experiment with speaking love to plants,
Yeah.
and the plants like growing, and speaking kindness to plants and the plants growing. And then like to other plants, they spoke like hate and disgust and hurtful thoughts. And the plant didn't grow. I think it died.
Yeah.
I actually can't remember, but it just goes to show, because we are all energy and like everything on this planet is energy, our thoughts really do manifest and create the quality of our lives.
Absolutely.
And I do think a note with that is also, if there is unresolved trauma in the body, an unprocessed emotional trauma, it is very hard, almost impossible, to think positive and
Mhm.
be in a state of gratitude.
Mhm.
So if you are noticing that you're like, oh my gosh, Simone, you're just telling me to be grateful, like, fuck off. Like, honestly, right? That was me at the start of my journey. I was like, I can't just think positive.
Mhm.
Like, there is nothing wrong with you. It's just that the start of the journey needs to be looking at healing the trauma. So then you have the freedom and the ability to actually see the good
Yeah.
and to feel that.
Yeah. And that's a really powerful statement because I'm at a position now, and I have been for a little while, but it took a long time to get here, long
Hmm.
time to get here. But I'm at a position now where whenever I sit with traumas or sit with my inner child that's rearing up and just needs to be held for just a moment, or a challenge comes faced at me, I am now able to drop into a space of gratitude and pure love to say, to really feel the gratitude for what is happening for me and allow that to move through me to be able to be grateful for the experience that I've then gained from that thing that had happened.
Hmm.
And it's such a beautiful tool to use when working through trauma or working through self doubt or lack of confidence. It's just coming back to being grateful for, something that I give to my clients still, and I used to do a lot of, is a really beautiful practice. So I'd have a client, say for example, someone's come to me and said, "Oh, I really hate my legs. They're so thick and they're big, and I really don't like my legs." I'm like, "Oh, let's not feed that. Let's not feed that story, shall we? Let's use a little bit of positive psychology here. A little bit of positive psychology. And then we'll move that with some somatic work, we'll move that with some shamanic work or energy work or whatever it may be as well, right? But the positive psychology behind it would be to say, for example, an affirmation. I love my legs because they allow me to walk from one place to another. Because that's true, right? That is, or I'm grateful for, which works even better if you're not in a state of love right now, right? I am grateful for my legs because my legs allow me to walk from one place to another. Or I love I'm grateful for my legs because they are a length and a part of my body, or whatever that feels good. And you can do this with all different parts of your body, your hair, your waist, your belly, your boobs, whatever works, whatever you feel a little bit of discomfort, a little bit of judgment, a little bit of I want better for, right? Which is such a negative energy, but we all hold it. It's a
Hmm.
collective energy. It's a collective universal, unfortunately, within the human consciousness, collective mind, subconscious. Um, yeah, so coming back into that state of gratitude is really powerful.
Yeah, I feel that. And I think there are almost toxic ways that gratitude can be used.
Mm.
Like, I know that I'm so guilty of this. Like, at times I will use gratitude to like repress how I'm feeling.
Mm.
So maybe something not so great happens and I'm like, it's okay, like it's for the good. But in those moments, rather than feeling the sadness or the anger or the shame of what's happened, I'm like, it's okay. I'm grateful that it happened. It's all working out for me.
Mhm.
Rather than being like, actually, I feel terrible. I feel sad. I need to grieve this and validate my emotions and acknowledge how I'm feeling. So I feel like there is like a a piece of gratitude that could be toxic and that isn't true gratitude. Or the same with like, I I used to justify not making changes in my life through gratitude. So I would be like, and I'm still doing this. I'm still doing this. I'd say things like, I don't need to change my job. Like, oh no, I'd say like, I need to change my job, but I'm so grateful for the money that's coming in. Or like, my relationship isn't working out, but I'm so grateful I have a partner and they're so good in these ways. Because sometimes I feel like you can use gratitude to almost escape making changes and like, and pushing through and creating better for yourself. And you almost like justify that things are okay by using gratitude. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Mhm. So it's almost using it almost like it's an escapism or a
Yeah.
suppression.
The mind is so clever.
So clever. Rather
Yeah.
than just saying, "Oh, I'm feeling this way right now and I don't know what I want, and that's okay."
Hmm.
And do you feel that because do you feel that it's nice to be able to come back into a state of kindness then? So for example, let's just say I don't like my job. It gives me money. Oops, I'm doing that thing again, being grateful for that. It gives me money. Of course, it gives me money. It's a job, right? That's why I don't
Hmm.
like it. I don't want the job. I want a career or I want whatever I want. But I'm going to come back into kindness right now and say, that's okay. And it's all right for me to feel that way right now. And I don't know where I'm going. And that's all right. And just allow that to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Like a huge piece of my journey and my healing has not been kindness towards others. I've always been incredible and very selfless, like at being kind to others. And it's such a strength of mine, but something that I've really had to practice and I'm so proud of where I'm at with is kindness to myself and kindness to how I'm feeling. Like having kindness to myself and regardless of the emotions that I'm feeling, I'm kind to myself.
Mm, mm,
And because you know how there's that saying, everyone, like not everyone, a lot of people say like to receive kindness, you have to give kindness.
mhm,
I don't fully believe that because I gave almost all of me to like everyone but myself for like almost 30 years of my life.
mhm.
Like I gave to all my clients, I gave to all my family, I gave to my like my nephews. Like I just was like selfless, selfless, selfless. And I was giving kindness, like looking after them, loving them, appreciating them, trying to help them. And I did that to the detriment of my health. I didn't receive kindness back. Mm.
Yeah, that's a really beautiful realization. Something I'd really love to share about how powerful using gratitude and kindness, both of these, they go hand in hand really in so many ways. Is a little story that happened very recently to me, and so my mother has brain damage. So getting anything from her, for example, Mum, I need your birth certificate photocopied to be able to get my son a passport. So because I was born over the threshold by 2 years and et cetera, right? And that's actually what happened.
Yeah.
And to be able
For
you
example,
need
this is my real story.
Yes, well, I did say I was gonna tell a story. I love it. Yeah, so within that moment, my I got my auntie to do that because I knew that if I was to ask, my mum would just clearly say no. She always has for all of these things throughout my life. So it's like walking on eggshells. You never know whether mum's going to be in a good mood or whether she's going to be in a bad mood. But mother, like it's saying good or bad moods, right? But generally, most of the time, it's bad mood. It's a no. All you ever want from me is everything, and just fuck off and let me live my life. Clear
Mm.
words that I've been told pretty much my whole life from my mum, right? So I was like, okay, all right, this is going to be a big ask. Anyway, long story short, it took quite a while for mum to comply. And then when she did comply, she didn't have her original birth certificate. It was a photocopy of a birth certificate. So it was like weeks of like backwards and forth between me, my auntie, and my mum, and all of this kerfuffle. And I said to my auntie, I was like, we should just get mum a proper birth certificate. I'll keep it or you keep it so she doesn't lose it again. Because this is like, I've done this for my mum before and she's lost it and et cetera, et cetera. And she's like, it's a great idea. Let's try. I said, you ask mum you'll need a copy of her Medicare card and a copy of her photo ID. She was like, yep. And she asked mum, mum was a clear, no, not happening. And my auntie was like, oh my gosh, this is so frustrating. Anyway, the story behind this story is because my auntie started messaging me and she was just like, hats off to you and I give credit to you for having to put up with this your whole life. It must have been really stressful. And credit to you, Dani. And I was like, well, it took a lot of healing. It's still doing it and it's still taking a lot of healing. But I did this really beautiful practice after this had happened because it brought up some things within me. I was like, man, she's just so fucking hard to cope with. And then I went, okay, stop. Drop into your heart for just a moment. She has brain damage. She physically cannot understand anything that happens. How hard and how lonely must it be for her in her mind to think everyone and everything is against her whole life? She can't work through that. Chemically, physiologically, she cannot work through that. Her brain is dead. That part of her brain, the prefrontal cortex, is gone. And I sat in the forest with cacao and I really just softened and surrendered into that. The first thing that came to my mind was like, man, I really wish that I could just put mum through some shroom journeys because we can rewire her fucking brain. It was like literally we could repattern, we could do some plant medicine and we could get her back to, we could start clean. Had a bit of a giggle to myself and then I went, okay. All right, Dani, stop, drop into a state of love, gratitude, and kindness right now. And I sat with Mama Cacao and I really started to think about how it must be and how painful it must be for her to feel that everyone's against her and to feel like she can't trust anyone or anything, not her own daughter, not her own father, her own family, not her own partner that she's been with for 25 years. Clearly, my stepdad's done something right? She can't even trust herself. How lonely that must have been for her. And then I had this beautiful it wasn't random, it was divine, this beautiful divine little ceremony that came to my heart. And I just started speaking out loud to the ether, to the ducks, to the forest, and just speaking out loud as if my mum had died. And I was at her funeral and I was sharing from my heart. And one of the first things that I said was, I feel really sad that my mum never got to connect with her highest self in this lifetime. She never really got to experience love. And all of these things I started to rattle off. But then I thought, I wouldn't want to say all that because that's all the things that she didn't get. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Come back. And then I came back and I dropped into a state of gratitude. So, for example, that state right there was kindness, right? It was kindness. It was me sharing my kindness. But then I came back and I went, okay, I'm going to drop into a state of, bless you, by the way. I'm going to drop into a state, Mon just sneezed. If you're watching the replay, you'll see. So I was like, come back, Dani, come back, reel back, drop into your heart. I'm going to come from a place of gratitude. So then I started writing off all of these things that I would say at my mum's funeral. And I just started speaking into the ether. And I was like, I'm grateful that I had a mother. And I was grateful for all of these things. And it was really powerful, really powerful. It brought me to tears many times, but it really dropped me into a deep sovereignty and a deep state of gratitude for her, for her. And I thought, wow, like I've been here before with my mum many times and I've dropped into my heart and gratitude and all of the things, yes, but not to this level. And that's the beauty of cacao as
Mm.
well, healing with cacao, right? She really opens up your heart. She really opens up your heart and allows you to drop in and to see things from your heart, to feel things from your heart. And after this process, believe it or not, the next morning my mum sent me photos of her Medicare card and her ID. And I went, "Ooh," dropping into a state of being in that vibrational frequency. I didn't think that my mum was going to drop into those things. Right. And I don't know if I can still use those photocopies for her birth certificate, but it's not the point. It's because they were blurry. And I was like, "Mum, they're blurry." She sent me to me again, "Mum, they're blurry again." She's like, "Oh, fucking hell." I'm like, "Mum, I'm really sorry." You just go to Arnie's, get her to scan them or something. I don't know. And who knows if it'll work, right? But it's not the point. The point behind it is dropping into that deep state of gratitude and really feeling that. And then the universe providing.
Yeah, that's such a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing that. And I love how you guided yourself through that. That's such a beautiful piece of like actually living experience of letting go, coming into a state of gratitude, and then honestly manifesting what you were wanting in that moment without even knowing you were doing it.
Mm, mm,
Like the universe is always working with us.
mhm,
And I
mm,
feel like the more that you do drop into your heart space and into gratitude and into kindness, the more that abundance comes, but not in ways that it's not a seeking, it's a surrendering, and divinity
exactly.
just
It's a
provides.
surrendering. Like I remember when I first dropped into that moment, and I've done this before and I've said this before, and I will continue to say this. So I can't wait, I can't wait. I, you'll understand when I express it. You'll be like, "What?"
Mhm.
I can't wait, as in, I can't wait to see the feedback that I get from the spirit world when I'm able to drop into shamanic journeys, right? But something that I've said for quite some time now is when my mom crosses over, her soul crosses over, I will then get to experience the depth of love that she truly had for me. Because unfortunately, in this beautiful human 3D life, she can't give that and she can't express that, and I can't receive that. I can make it all the stories up in my mind that I want, and I can give all the love that I want to myself, but I will never, ever receive that from my mum in her body in this lifetime, and that is okay. But I dropped into that state to start with, and I went, "Oh, when she passes over, it'll be an exciting time for me to start to get to know her soul and her spirit in the shamanic world." But then I dropped out of that and I went, "Wow, that's really selfish."
Mm.
Because here I am making that about me. Yeah, there's an inner child in there that deserves that. Yes, of course, I deserve that, right? Yes, but this here is a moment that I was literally thinking about my mom dying. And
Mm.
all I could think about at that moment was me. And I went, "Wow, that's really selfish." Drop into a state of kindness. And that was when I then dropped into that urology process. And I went, "Wow." And then I blew myself away and it was like, "Oh my gosh." And I grieved all of
Mm.
this beautiful, beautiful love and compassion and kindness and gentleness for my mom and her state and gratitude.
Yeah, that's so beautiful.
Mm.
Mm.
It's so easy for the human mind to really, for the ego. That's what the ego is designed for, right? It's designed to separate us, to bring the me, the I, the self. In a lot of shamanic cultures, there's no such thing as me, I, and self. It is one. You are one. And it's not until, majority of people do plant medicine that they actually feel what that's like. And they truly understand that,
Mhm.
but it's so easy for us to drop into a state of I didn't get this and I feel this and what and me, which is beautiful and great awareness and obviously what we need. But if we can just drop out of that for just a moment, reel in and pull in and come into the heart Soften and surrender and open the heart up. Come into a state of kindness. Drop into a state of gratitude. The
Mm.
fucking game changes. Just
Yeah.
changes.
It really does. And it's that kindness piece of when you notice your ego popping up or thoughts that are arising that you're like, this is bad and wrong. And it's immediately catching that and having kindness for yourself
Yeah.
and understanding that your ego is just trying to protect you and keep you safe. And the only way that it knows how, and that's okay too, and that can exist whilst you go into like your body and you go into like higher frequencies, you can have kindness for that piece of you, that part of you, and it will soften.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can let go.
Mm.
But I feel like a lot of blocks can arise when you're thinking things that you don't think you should be thinking, and then you're belittling yourself for thinking those things that you don't think you should be thinking,
Mm-hmm.
and it creates a downward spiral where you start to go into like self-hate or judgment, and then you create more of that. And then you're like, oh, I was sitting down to do fucking gratitude, and look where I am. So it's like having that kindness piece to know whatever arises, whatever thoughts, whatever sensations, whatever pictures you have in your mind, whatever arises, having kindness for that and allowing that and knowing it's all welcome, it's all okay, and having compassion for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes you further and allows you to experience gratitude. Mm, yeah.
Mm. I trust that this is really, this beautiful conversation has really allowed. I know it has me. I'm in like this aura of gratitude and just softness and kindness and just love right now. I feel
Hmm.
all gooey inside, and I really trust that you listening, that you've been able to gain some of that medicine from that space of gratitude and kindness and love, and be able to maybe just soften and surrender into some things and some moments in your life where things might be a little bit challenging. And maybe that's self sabotaging, or maybe that's someone else in your life, and just soften into the moments, or maybe that's a trauma or a hardship. Just soften into that moment and really just feel and allow. Bring in a little bit of kindness and a little bit of gratitude.
Mm.
Something I really want to end with here is, and I want to just put a disclaimer out there for anyone listening, that what I am about to say might trigger you, might trigger something within you. And if it does, please turn it off now. Or if it does, really just allow yourself to just soften for a moment, or reach out to someone if you feel called to. I was sexually assaulted numerous times as a child, and moving through those pieces through psychology and through different practices allowed me to move through them. So many different practices. I don't even where to begin. It's a whole podcast on its own, right? But the thing that has really allowed me to move past this space and drop into a state of kindness and gratitude and love is for these men that have hurt me, is to be grateful for the knowledge that it gave me after,
Mm.
for the connection, the disconnection that it gave me for so long, which has allowed me to soften and surrender, to become more connected, more whole at the end of that moment, in those darkest days. Dropping into a state of gratitude, not being grateful for the act, absolutely not. Not being grateful for what happened, absolutely not. But softening into the kindness to know that that man right there, he was just a little broken little boy that was so traumatized that the only thing that his system knew how to do was continue that trauma. What must have happened to that little boy in order for a 72-year-old man to find a 5-year-old little girl sexually attractive? How much darkness must he be in? And there's that softening into that gratitude and into that kindness, and just reversing it just a little bit. and saying, where is that peace? Because that has been the pivotal moment of my healing, to not make that about me anymore and to just deflect it and go, oh man.
Mm. I'm so proud of you.
Mm.
Mm. So proud of you for not giving up on yourself,
Mm. Yeah.
for
It's the
choosing the
pivotal
path
moment.
of healing and doing whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And it's also that piece of when you're in it and things are hard and whatever that hard looks like, whatever that challenge looks like, maybe you can't find gratitude in it,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
and that's okay. But I know from everything that I've been through and everything that you've been through and all the girls in our circle, everything we have been through is happening for us. And one day you may be able to find gratitude for it. That doesn't mean you need to, that doesn't mean you will, but it's such a beautiful place that you've been able to get to, Dani, with such a fucking traumatic experience. Like, it's just a testament to the depth you have gone to with yourself and your darkness and the light that you now experience.
Mm.
Mm,
Thank you, sister.
yeah.
Yeah, receiving that fully.
So we thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. If that did evoke something within you and you're feeling quite energetically charged in a heavy and negative way, I would either put on some like high frequency music and just sway your body, or you could reach out to us or someone that it feels safe to speak to. But just know that you're not alone,
Mm.
right? And sometimes it's very easy when we are in heavier states to feel alone because through separation, we create suffering. And what we don't often realize is that we are getting something from our suffering.
Mm-hmm.
So, a really powerful way to start to move through your suffering and be like, I'm fucking done with this. This is the same pattern, is to start reaching out.
Mm.
It's something I did. It's something I had so much resistance to. I was so hyper independent. And through community, I really changed my life. So, with that said, we trust that you really enjoyed today's episode and you got some juicy pieces that you can implement into your own life around gratitude and kindness.
Mm.
And if you enjoyed it, please give us a 5-star rating, give us a follow, help us reach more people.
But before we go, I am going into a plant medicine journey, another ayahuasca ceremony in less than 2 weeks. Woo! Feeling the
Yeah.
feels, baby. Gonna be diving deep. It's gonna a long ceremony, this one, 4 days. And beautiful Mon is starting her somatic work and her training. So we are going to be having a little bit of time off. So we just thought that we'd let you know, but we will be back and look so forward to speaking in and leaning into those pieces in the very, very near coming weeks.